Did you just throw your phone?
No, I did not throw the phone.
Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Beg Pardon. As always, I'm your host Anthony, joined by Carlos, and welcome to the show. How's it going, Carlos?
It is going pretty well. Running out of things to watch, but a lot of research time, so.
So what do you do during the day?
Um,
You do, admittedly, and I'll let the audience know this, admittedly, you do like a ton of research for the show.
yeah, well, thank you. But that's predominantly what I do. And I've been researching like animation schools too, so.
Nice. Are you gonna do that? Are you gonna get
I don't know. I keep weighing the pros.
As
and
I'm putting
cons.
you on the spot, like we're recording a show that's gonna be in the public.
Yeah, folks, if you think I should, just go ahead and hit the subscribe button, and then comment and let us know on this video. But yeah, I go back and forth in the pros and the cons. So.
Yeah. Well, if anyone knows anything about throwing a career away and starting all over, it's me. So just let me know. Let me know if that's something that you're interested in, and you know where to find me. So today we're talking about zoos, and we have a decent amount of experience, I think, with zoos. Not like we're like super. I mean, there are people that are like crazy well traveled, and they're like, we've hit every zoo. We've hit like a zoo in every state in the United States.
Yeah.
And internationally. So
not us.
That's not us. Yeah, you're looking for that other podcast.
Yeah, that's actually called. No, I'm just kidding.
Right. Just stay tuned. We'll let you know at the very last second of this episode when that is. I'm just kidding. You can't skip that forward. We'll plan it somewhere in the show, so you just got to listen to the whole thing. Okay, so give me like give me a run. Like, what is a zoo? I know that sounds stupid, but like,
right.
What do I need to have? Like, can I have a zoo in my backyard? Like, what do I have to have to qualify for a zoo?
So to be an accredited zoo, where I feel like those.
I don't have to be an accredited zoo. I could just be you could be
Joe
a private
Exotic.
citizen, and yeah, I guess Joe.
We all
Exotic.
learned.
Yeah.
Yeah, we learned that at the beginning of quarantine.
Yeah.
You can use some Walmart meat and get yourself some tigers, and you got a zoo. And a paramedics jacket. That's the most important part.
God. That was one of the most, and I'm not like ashamed to admit it, the most entertaining things I've ever seen.
Yeah, and it came at the right time.
Yeah. A lot of sadness.
Yeah.
And then I was like, this is what I needed.
This was the bright spot.
Yeah.
Ironically.
Okay, so say I want to be a legit zoo, an accredited zoo, what do I need?
You need to be able to hit the requirements for education, research, and conservation. So that I think that's what we all thought all zoos had to have, but apparently you don't.
No,
but
like education, what is that? Or if you're going to explain it, I'll shut up, but what does that mean?
So the educational part, I can only assume, because education and research are pretty close together. But the educational part I can only assume is like them teaching you about the animals, like literally teaching you about their habitats, if they're in danger, the zoo itself, like those plaques, or like how they sometimes have like not shows but like little exhibits where they come out and they talk to you type of thing. The research part would be like if they have experience going out and actually studying like the animals, studying their environments, or when they have them in-house. Do they care for them in that aspect? Do they try to, if they're endangered, are they trying to get them to mate, to boost it up again? That's the type of research that I'm assuming they do. And conservation, I mean, that's pretty simple. They just make sure you donate and stuff like that.
So I just got to teach people about the animals, what I believe.
No, you have to teach them the facts.
Well, if I've learned anything over the last 3.5 years, facts are pretty subjective. So
not for zoos. Zoos are a little bit stronger on that.
Who's gonna come in? Is there an auditor for zoos? Well, I'm sure I'm sure the whatever the accreditation company or foundation or whatever it is. I mean, they
Yeah,
come
the AZA.
AZA.
Yep. Accredited zoos and aquariums.
Then you have some guy come in like a little suit jacket or a turtleneck and walks around your zoo and gives you the stamp of approval or not. So what's the benefit of being accredited, other than saying that I'm an accredited zoo and giving people the? Could we just assume all zoos are accredited?
Right.
So
I think the benefit is, well, one, if you opened a zoo, you did it for the right reasons. So the benefit is like you're helping the animals legitly. But I think the other benefit is you get more people to come in, because
But like I just said,
I'm
we didn't
kind of-
know if something's not. We don't.
No, but you can assume the ones we went to were, like, we didn't go to any like Joe Exotic type zoos.
Yeah.
They were always like legit. I feel like you should have animals.
Well, I feel like they're
Not
like
like-
ran by the cities, or they're like not ran by the cities, but I feel like they're like we didn't go to any zoo unless it had like the name of the city in the name of the zoo. Like it was, you know what I mean? Like it was very obvious where we were going.
Right. So those, for the most part, are usually accredited zoos. Like the Toledo Zoo
Mm-hmm.
is an accredited zoo. The Bronx Zoo, Coney Island Aquarium, all accredited. In Omaha, the Henry Dorley, I think it's
Mm-hmm.
Henry Dorley Zoo is accredited. So like those are obviously San Diego, which we'll touch on a little bit later. But I think that anyone who goes to an accredited zoo, you can almost tell it's accredited, because the exhibits are usually a little bit bigger. Like it looks like more care went into the zoo itself.
Yeah, like no
It's not just like
paramedic jackets and
yeah,
people
and the
getting
animals
their
aren't
arms
like pacing.
ripped off and eating Walmart meat and
Yeah. So
Okay.
I think, you can kind of usually tell the accredited zoos just by like the hotels too. Like you can tell what's a shady hotel just from looking on the outside.
Yeah.
You're like,
Is there a list?
I'm really
Like on their
going
website,
nice.
the AZA's website?
Yep, on the AZA website there's a list
We'll
all
link
over
it
the
for
world,
you guys.
so not just America.
In the description box.
Yeah, that's the podcast we were talking about, folks.
Right.
It's actually the AZA. Gotcha. But yeah, it's all over the world. It's not just America. So they cover other countries and everything too.
Nice. Okay. So, what has been? Why do you like? Well, I'm assuming you enjoy zoos, because
Yes.
I've been to them with you. Why do you like zoos?
I like the zoos, like I said, the accredited zoos, because I feel like they are actually trying to help rehabilitate animals, or they're trying to help you become knowledgeable about animals so you make better choices outside.
Yeah.
So like if I know how my habits affect like the elephants, or how my habits affect the dolphins or anything like that, I'm more likely to do something in my everyday life to change it. And I think that, if you could do something like that, I think it's priceless. And I just like seeing those animals be able to kind of roam and stuff, and not think about like, man, if they were out wherever they're from, in Asia or Africa or North America, or like they're gonna be hunted. Like I can see them here and they're okay. I think that's a weird like peace of mind for me. I think it all started though, honestly. You remember the Pocahontas Disney movie?
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, when she sang The Colors of the Wind, and it showed that bear, and then they followed it, and he had like a little bear family, that part made me never want to hunt in my life. Because I was like, these animals have families. Like, I never wanted
That was Bambi.
to do anything
that was
like
Bambi
that.
for me. I got Bambi for my birthday, and I was just like, God.
Yeah?
Yeah.
He's a monster.
And I
The
never,
guy who shot
and I
him.
never wanted to hunt after that.
Yeah.
I'll eat a burger. I'll I mean, hell,
Yeah.
I'll eat venison too, but I won't pull that trigger for whatever
Yeah.
that's
Well,
worth.
It's not for sport that you're doing that,
Correct.
so that's why.
Yeah, I guess for me, like, I guess it's the same. I mean, I really like. I'm naturally like an inquisitive person, so I enjoy learning about animals and different places in the world, and I feel like it's like, I mean, zoos and museums are like the only places where I can like do that. That's a lie, but like I mean, do it in a way that's interactive. Yeah.
Hey.
Like it's different. Like if I'm, just hits different if you're at the zoo instead of at home, like on Google or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I like it. So like some of the zoos that I've been to, Cleveland Metro Parks in Cleveland, Ohio. Not a bad zoo. Not noteworthy. You've been to that one too.
Yeah.
Not like noteworthy though. Like I'm really trying to think. Like the only thing I could think of, like, and I'm thinking about the total experience, guys. Like I'm not just focusing on like the animals, which is the obvious part of the zoo. But I mean, like, I'm trying to think about like price, walkability, like the whole experience.
Shebang.
Yeah. Nothing like noteworthy. It wasn't awful or bad by any stretch of the imagination, but it wasn't like, oh my god, like I can't believe we're here.
Yeah. It wasn't like we have to go back.
Right.
It was like that was a nice afternoon.
Yeah. Pittsburgh Zoo. And so I love the city of Pittsburgh. If any of you guys live in the city of Pittsburgh, I may love you more than the rest of our listeners, to be honest.
Woo!
I have such not because I'm originally from Pittsburgh either, but like I did not grow up. Whenever people ask where I'm from, I don't even say Pittsburgh. That's how little of my life I actually spent there. But I have such like a love affair with that city. I think it's an amazing city. That being said, that zoo was terrible, man. It was terrible.
Yeah, it was rough.
Yeah, you remember like the what do they call them? Not containers. The exhibit spaces. What do you call them?
The environments?
Yeah, the environments. Habitats, whatever. They were so small, like so you just saw animals like constantly just pacing, and I was like, ugh. It was really rough.
It was rough.
And it's hard because you put like you're trying to. It's almost like they put a zoo where they didn't have the space to put a zoo. Where they're like, we really want to have a zoo in this city. Let's plop it right here.
Yeah.
So you're like, not that great.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, then that affected like the rest of the experience.
Yeah.
For me, and I was like, I didn't like it.
Yeah, no, wasn't a fan.
No. Did you have like a really good zoo experience?
I did. I had a really good zoo and aquarium experience.
Nice.
Bronx Zoo, which is
I've
accredited.
never
It is
been
the largest zoo in the Western Hemisphere, I believe. It's the largest zoo in America, but it's the largest in the Western Hemisphere.
Nice.
And if you know anything about the Bronx, you don't think a beautiful zoo goes hand in hand with the city, because you're just like, where are you going to put it? But when you go into the Bronx Zoo, like you literally feel like you're just kind of roaming a jungle and there's animals that happen to be there. Like it's massive, and the spaces they have are massive, and there's all these areas for you to like learn about the elephants or learn about the lions and all that stuff. And this lion that we saw at the Bronx Zoo, it was the first time my wife went to the Bronx Zoo. This thing was what I could have only imagined Mufasa looked like. It was massive. And people were like calling him to get his attention and everything, and I was like, he looks kind of big. When this thing stood up, I was like, this had to be like a relative of the lion that Samson killed. Like, it was huge. And his mane was like dark and all the way.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it was massive. Toledo Zoo is good. It's smaller because, I mean...
Toledo.
Yeah.
Ohio. For those of you that don't know Toledo.
Yeah, not Spain. Toledo, Ohio. They do really cool stuff, though. Like, they do an event the winter called, like, Frozen Tozen. And they do the lights in the zoo. So, like, they have lights all set up throughout the zoo. And some of them are those, like, motion lights. So it looks like a dolphin's, like, jumping out of water and stuff. So it's really nice.
That's kind of weird that they. I mean, what exhibits do they have open during Christmas? Like during winter? I mean, that's in Northwest Ohio. I'm sure it gets tons of snow.
Well, they have like the cold weather animals, I guess, like the snow leopards out and things like reindeer, stuff like that, penguins.
Gotcha.
But the other animals are all inside. There's even like an inside thing that you can walk, and like the elephants are in there.
Oh, like kind of like a skywalk or something, and you see them, or
Yeah,
like a normal.
like you're
walk,
on the
like you're
floor.
ground?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, you're on the ground and you see them, and you're just like, they're massive.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah. So those two zoos are pretty cool, and like I said, the Coney Island Aquarium is really cool. A lot of again educational stuff there. A lot of rehabilitation stuff there too. They do a lot of rehabilitation stuff, but not really anything that I can remember where they're making the animals do tricks. Like they do feedings at the zoos, but it's not like watch the lion jump over the moat type of
Yeah,
thing.
that was like a SeaWorld thing, and like they got a lot of flack for stuff like that, like the shows
Yeah.
and stuff like that. You see a really big decline in that because then I feel like it becomes like that to me. Then you're entering like Joe Exotic territory. Whenever you're
Yeah.
like dance monkey, like that's where we're starting
Yeah.
to get into. I don't like that.
Which is sad because SeaWorld also does a lot of like conservational stuff. I know Blackfish came out and then dragged them, and people were just like, "How could you?" But truthfully, I joke about Blackfish to give some of my friends a hard time, my sister a hard time, but Blackfish is a smear campaign. Like SeaWorld does do a lot of good things now with conservation and stuff.
Was it
But-
after the movie? Like,
It was even
when you
before
said
that.
now. Yeah, you're like now.
No, like now they do more like publicly. Like they let people know more publicly because they have
Yeah,
to
like, hey, we're
rebuild
not
that image.
monsters. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're like, no, we don't do that.
Right.
But I think them and Animal Kingdom kind of go hand in hand when you think of like big, not zoos, but people compare it to a zoo. Like Animal Kingdom is not a zoo by any stretch of the
No, I
imagination.
wouldn't
Disney.
say that's a zoo.
But everyone kind of says like, oh, you mean that zoo they have? Like, no, it's not a zoo. It's actually much more than that. But yeah.
Yeah. We went to whenever I lived in Omaha, the Henry Dorley Zoo. Probably the best zoo I've ever been to. Period. It was amazing.
Wow.
I absolutely you think that's a city known for nothing, and
I was gonna say
that zoo is incredible. I know that they have. It's like literally one of the top rated zoos in the United States, and
Yep.
I know that they have like the largest like indoor like desert or whatever that like biodome.
Yeah, that dome thing.
Yeah, it's huge. That's like in the center of the zoo itself, and you go in and like as soon as you walk in, you're like, like you really feel like you're in the desert, and it's just super expansive. I mean, there's so much space out there, super expansive, and then everything that they make, like the exhibits were just so cool. Like, so one of my favorite exhibits there is like the swamp, kind of like swamp creatures, not creatures, but like crocodiles, alligators, tortoises, these toads, like things that you would find in like the bayous in like Louisiana, and they have it in like it's indoors, and they have it in like a replicated bayou. So there's like a fake like old shack that you would see. Like if any of y'all have ever played like Red Dead Redemption 2, like if you're going to Saint Denis, like I'm telling like exactly where it's at. But you know where you've played the game, so you know where I'm talking about. Like it's literally just like that, and you walk just like how they have like those wooden bridges. You walk these wooden bridges, and the alligators are like right there. And I'm like, wow, I feel like this is about to rip my leg off. Yeah. I mean, they have like clear plexiglass banisters. So, I mean, they would have to like leap up there to kill you. But it's like, it's just incredible because the whole atmosphere is like that. And it's but it's like super, super dark. So like it's like you're walking in a bayou at nighttime, and there's like lights kind of like in the sky, a little bit bigger than what starlight would be, but it's like it's just like that. And I was like, wow, this is like crazy. But that's like my favorite part of that zoo. That and they have like this really cool like butterfly house where you like go in, and you're walking through, and it like they continuously remind you to make sure that you like watch where you're going. But all the butterflies just freely like are just everywhere, and you can see like I think it's just solely butterflies, but they have like a ton of just different butterflies, and then like they have like the staff at the end of you go through 2 doors, like you go through this one like chamber where you're like in between the 2 doors, and then they'll like search you for any animals that are like on you, and then they like let you leave. Yeah, in case like any of the butterflies like try to get out with you. But it's like in this like huge in this huge like building, and then they have it's like one of the most like themed places I've ever seen. Like then they have like, because it's in the Midwest, they have like a farmstead like in there as part of the zoo itself. It's crazy, like all this crazy, and it's continuously updating, like constantly.
That's good.
Yeah, it's hands down easily the best zoo I've ever been to. I don't even live in Omaha anymore, and I want to like get like a regular like membership to the zoo.
Wow.
And go there and like frequent there.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, butterfly houses and anything where you can like, oh, the birds fly over. I hate those. I did not come to be part of the exhibit.
That's a lot of that zoo.
Like, I didn't come to be part of that. I came to see the animals. I'm not trying to interact with them. Like, that's like being like, oh yeah, you can walk through the trees. Be careful with the bears. Like, for that, I'll go to like Yellowstone or something. Like, I need to know I'm safe. Right. And I know people are probably like, they're just birds. Some of those birds are rough. I'm not gonna lie. Like, a low-flying bird take you out in a heartbeat, folks. Butterflies, all right. I'll do the butterflies.
I don't know if it'll take you out, but...
have you seen some of them birds?
Well, I mean, you're not in the ones with, like, condors and, like, huge, like, hawks.
There's falcons in there.
Where? Where have
I'm
you
sure
ever
they're out there.
What zoo have you ever been to where they have falcons just, like, above your head? You know,
I'm sure they're there.
Even though they're not, like, exposed, like, in the Omaha Zoo or any other zoo I've been to, the one section of zoos I don't like is, like, all the bats. It's too much.
Oh, I don't like that.
And it stinks. It's just too much. The other zoo that I've been to, like, well, I live in Houston, so geographically it's very close to me. It's a Houston zoo. It's really disappointing. You know?
Really?
Yeah. Weird.
That's
4th
sad.
largest city in the United States, and you would think that it's because so like. And again, I don't understand it. This isn't a. It's not like. It is a big concrete city, but there is tons of green space. Like Houston is the largest in mileage in square mileage. Houston is the largest city in the United States, and they chose to have their zoo in like what would be like our version, I guess, of like Central Park, like the park, like all this green space amongst the city. And then I mean Central Park has a zoo, but like it's
really cool clock too.
This zoo in the middle of the park that's like kind of cramped in, not like Pittsburgh. Like the animals have a lot of space, but there's such few space that therefore the zoo is like really small. And I was just like, it's not really small. It's just like it's oddly put. Like it's shouldered by like the medical district, which I mean for those of you unfamiliar with Houston, I mean it's the largest like concentrated like medical district in the United States, and then like a city park, and it's like smack amongst like the concrete. It's just weird. I was like, why would it be here? Yeah. It could have been it could have been completely somewhere else. I don't know why it's
That's
there.
A wasted opportunity.
Yes, but they do a ton of like conservation, and I had a colleague of mine. Shout out to Jen. I know that you listen to the show. So Jen, she was like an avid zoo goer at the Houston Zoo and a member there, and they would always get to, like, if you're a member, like they would always have like these like showcase nights where then they'd have speakers come in. They would talk about conservation efforts. You could go depending on how, if they could time it right. Obviously things happen, but like you could see like births of the babies, of the animals that are giving birth, and like I thought that was kind of cool. But I didn't become I wasn't a member of the zoo at the time, so I couldn't go to any of those things. But I was like, oh, this is really cool. And she was like constantly talking about like all the things that the zoo did. So shout out to them in that regard. It's just an oddly placed zoo, I guess.
Yeah.
And like there's like a huge like museum district around it, kind of like a much different version of it. You know how like in DC the Smithsonian's like they are like in this area.
Yeah,
Like
I
it's
love
like
the Smithsonian.
Museum, like around the thing. That's like in Houston where it's like museum, except in an awkward shape. It's not like in a nice shape. But what I like about the Houston museums is they, or at least prior to COVID, I don't know if they'll have it whenever they come back, but they would have like rotating days where like they would be free. Whereas the Smithsonian's are all free, but like these would just have rotating days where they would be free. So like I could go to like the Museum of Art for like free, and the museums here are like super nice. So I was like, oh, this is cool. So I mean that's kind of cool. We should do a museum episode. There's one for you guys. We're gonna do another one.
Yeah, because I've been to quite a few museums too.
Same. Yeah.
Pittsburgh though, real quick. I mean, we gave you a hard time for the zoo, but the museum, pretty nice museum. Yeah, we'll cover that.
I would go. I would
give you
go
bad
to
and
that
the good.
museum. Like I've been to that museum countless times. I can't even count how many times I've been there.
I've been there once. So I can count.
I love that museum. I forgot to say, best aquarium I've ever been to, hands down, was in Atlanta.
I knew you were gonna say that.
Yeah. Well, I think it's also like the largest aquarium.
I was gonna say I think the biggest one in America.
Yeah.
It used to be in Epcot.
It's amazing. It is amazing. I was like, wow, this is absolutely incredible. And I'm not big into like aquariums at all. Like I'm not big into.
I love aquariums.
Yeah, I'm not. But I was like, wow, this is like really, really cool, and it is huge. I couldn't even like it was like at a zoo level. I was like, you could spend the whole day in there. And just it's huge.
I like the aquariums that have like that dome over you, like you're on that treadmill and it goes over you. I like that, because then I'm like, oh my gosh,
like they could just like swallow me up right now.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm in the ocean. I'm a merman.
Look at me.
I'm like, are my legs still there? You know, like I'm feeling for.
I'm not even moving my legs, and I'm going forward. What's happening? Am I swimming?
I'm like, huh.
How ridiculous.
It's like, how am I breathing under here?
I don't know, and two, I think zoos, a lot of nostalgia for me. Like, I didn't even know if it still exists or not, but like Akron used to have a zoo.
It's still there.
Akron, Ohio. Okay, I didn't know if it was.
It's still there.
I went there as a kid, and our school went there. I don't have recollection of being there because it was a long time ago. But I went there, and I think, you know, that kind of sets the tone. Like, I don't know, it's just that on a much smaller and lighter scale, it's almost like going to like a Disney or something where you have like memories of like going to zoos whenever you're younger, and like your family. Usually those are much more affordable than it would be to go to Disney. Like my family obviously never went. I'm not gonna say obviously, but my family never went to Disney because we could never afford it. You know, we have a huge family. We could never afford to do that. But we could afford to go to a zoo. So like that was like, I guess, our version of what Disney would be. And I think a lot of people have that similar experience where they're like, oh, I can't spend a couple $1,000s to go to Disney or whatever. But we can go to like the local zoo and check it out and see how it is.
Yeah. And, you know, for those of you who are fortunate enough to head to Disney, in Orlando, in Florida, you should definitely check out Animal Kingdom. It's one of the parks. It's very
I wish I would have
immersive.
gotten to do that.
I'm sure we'll get you there.
That sounded like like you were my dad. You're like, we'll get you there, son. It's all right. We'll take you there.
Pack your bags.
Yeah, your mom and I we'll get you there. Tell Maria I said thank you.
But yeah, I wish you would have went. I feel like you really would have liked the combination of like the animals and the theming, because it's extremely well themed. There's over, I think, about 540 acres that whole thing is on, so it's a massive amount of land. And the animals, there's like 2,000 different animals that represent like 300 species.
Nice.
They have over 4 million plants that they brought in from like every continent except Antarctica to kind of give it more of that, like you're really in those areas. And even the safari like ride that they have, it's not really a ride, it's literally a safari. Like you're in a truck and it drives through where the animals are, and the animals are within arm's reach. They tell you please don't reach because you can literally touch it. But even in that, I mean, it looks so themed and everything, and the animals, the way they get them to be interactive and like close to you is they kind of hide food and snacks and things like in the tree stumps, or like salt licks are there, and like all these things are around so that they're able to roam free, but they still have what they need.
Mm-hmm.
And they also built like moats and like natural barriers so you don't accidentally see like a lion took out a zebra or anything like that. But you do see rhinos fight.
The species.
Yeah.
I thought you meant between like the people, like the guests. And
No.
Got you.
So like the lions sit on the Pride Rock area, which are temperature controlled. Talk about spoiled. So it's not too hot or too cold during the seasons. But like the rhinos can all interact. Like I've seen rhinos fighting while I'm on that, and it's the most terrifying thing in the world. But ain't nothing more realistic, I guess.
Yeah.
But
nice.
it's so good, and they do a lot of conservation efforts. They have a conservation fund set up that we'll put the link in the bottom if you want to donate to it. They help a lot of sanctuaries around the world, and they do try to also rehabilitate animals to send them back into the wild, so that's really cool. So, it gets a bad rap because people were like, oh, I'm just going to the zoo. There's rides there too, like just like Disney, there's rides, there's shows, there's all of that. It's more than just a zoo. So if any of you do have, the good fortune to be able to go down to Disney, please check out Animal Kingdom. It's really, really great.
Nice. So we want to hear from you guys. Do you like zoos? Do you not like zoos? Because that's a very well. There are a lot of people that don't like zoos. There are.
I question that.
There are. And if you do like zoos, what are some of your favorite zoos? We'll try to highlight them the week of that episode. So let us know. Thanks as always for tuning in. All of our social media links will be in the description box below this video.
And as always, make sure you subscribe to our videos so you can see more, and check out the audio versions of these videos. That way you can have the flexibility to listen to it maybe while you're at the zoo. You could listen to our episodes in the future, not now, because I don't know what zoo you're going to. Right. I thought about that after I said it. I was like, I don't know what zoo
they're
going to.
Stay home, everyone. Wear a mask.
Yeah. Maybe make a stuffed animal zoo in your house. I don't know. Get creative. But that will do it for us on this Big Pardon. As always, he's been Anthony. I've been Carl. So remember, have a wild time. Until next time.